It's turning. Um,
Greetings,
it's still
greetings.
turning.
Oh,
Oh, is
mine
it live? Oh,
is live. I've got it live. Yes. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. But yeah, my name is Dr. Nelva Bryant. I am a veterinarian, and I call myself more the pet centric travel expert because all the information I'm giving is centered towards your pet and pet safety. Um, Thank you for joining us today on our Facebook Live. And Greta, introduce yourself, please.
well, we did this opposite.
I
You
know.
surprised me. Oh, hi, everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live with Dr. Nelva Bryant. And we come here about twice a month to share Dr. Bryant's expertise as well as all her great friends, professional friends, and associates so that we can help educate pet parents on having their pets live a healthier, happier life, as well as being able to travel with less stress in both the pet parents and the pet's life. So
Uh,
welcome everyone.
Definitely. Well, this past month, a lot of things happened. I would think last was it? Yeah, we're in a new month now. Last month was a mental health awareness, and I wrote an article for Zounds Music for Pets on anxiety related to pet travel, and just want to share a little bit with regarding that. I think the anxiety that people have in reference to it, pet travel, is the fact that they're not prepared.
Yeah,
There is information out there. I agree. There's information out there, but it really isn't specific and really gives a good guideline of what to do and how to prepare your pets properly for air travel. And that could be either in cabin or going by cargo. The information is not there. They might tell you you need a health certificate. You need your crate or carrier for in cabin or crate for going by cargo. You might need some documents and that's it. And
yeah,
that is really not enough to get your pet prepared. I mean, yes, it's the basis, but it's not enough to have you prepared. And I think that's where anxiety in reference to people traveling with their pets come from. What are your thoughts on that, Greta?
absolutely. Today people are so last minute, and with traveling with a pet, that's another being, maybe not a human, but a whole nother being. And the great thing, and it's a double-edged sword, a great thing and not so great thing, is that our cats and our dogs, all of our pets are so in tune with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know anyone that does not go to the airport and isn't rushing,
Mm-hmm.
rushing to get checked in, rushing to get to where they got to wait. And, that's just what we do with ourselves. But if we're bringing our pets, our dogs, our cats, we can't do that to them. So what you're saying is absolutely perfect. So we should, if you're traveling with your pet, you should, the airlines recommend normally to show up 2 hours early. When we had Sharon and Teddy on here a while ago, she talked about how she goes 4 hours early just so that she and Teddy can arrive with calmness and
Mm-hmm.
take everything in ease. If anything that shocking comes up or changes, she can handle it without any problems. And her and Teddy can both remain calm. So everything you were mentioning in that article was perfect.
Yeah,
Um, you know,
definitely. Just to add on that, if you don't mind, add a little bit. If you're going by cargo, guess what, folks? You have to be there even earlier. The cutoff time sometimes is up to say 4 hours prior to that flight departure. You need to have your pet in that cargo warehouse, which is actually separate from your normal passenger terminal. So be mindful of that if you're traveling with your pet by cargo.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other great thing about last month is we took the whole month to really highlight the professionals around dealing with service dogs. So
Yes.
we had a great month of
Right.
information and
Yeah.
introducing two great professionals to our audience that deal with everyone in the service dog industry. So the first one was Dr. Risa Houston, who has that amazing company that deals with everyone across the country and getting them from thinking about the idea of having a service dog all the way through working with them and connecting to with their
Definitely.
service dog.
Yeah, Dr. Houston, I met her. I actually invited her to Delta Airlines for an event that we had. We had the Animal Advisory Board. She and Blake Rashad came and presented information on service animals. But Dr. Houston has the Assistance Animal Consulting business, where she will help people if you think you need a service animal or even emotional support animal. She helps guide you through that whole process and helps you actually get the best animal for your need. So that was a really good talk. And then Blake Rashad, Top Dog, I love him. He's so animated. Just a great knowledge of service animal training, his business. I believe it is Top Dog, right? But his business, what he's doing is training service animals for veterans with, say, post-traumatic stress disorder or mobility disorders, and just doing some outstanding things for individuals that need service animals. So last month was a really good one. I would suggest those who want to learn more about those two individuals we discussed it, please go back. But it was really some valuable information shared.
Yeah, and I was I love to learn, and so with as much as both of us know about the pet industry and everything that we're speaking about in general, I loved both conversations because I learned so much more. So Dr. Risa, she was explaining how how you are supposed to have a prescription from your doctor to get a service dog. And I don't think a lot of people knew that. And so that was a key point to highlight during the conversation.
He also added, even for emotional support animals, that's supposed to be prescribed to you too. But a lot of folks will just say, deem that's my emotional support dog, but really it needs to be prescribed as well. So it was really good information that she shared. Yes.
Yeah, and then also I did not even realize that I knew she helped individuals get their service dog, but I didn't realize that she also worked with the pet parent, or I guess service dog owner, and the service dog, and building their relationship afterwards, and building up that bond between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very nice to know, because she has. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just remembered our third person too. We forgot Sheila Golf with the service dog pass. Don't forget that one. That was amazing too. Remember? Service dog
absolutely,
pass?
Absolutely.
Last month was outstanding. Honestly,
and that is
service animals. I really am very happy and thankful to meet all those individuals and to be able to share something about service animals, because I don't believe that information is being shared anywhere, to be honest with you. But we went over a lot of good things related to service animals last month.
Yes, absolutely. And just to remind everybody quickly what a service dog pass is, it's a program that was created by the AKC, where they have a program that has been adopted to legitimize and certify your service dog as an actual service dog. And then the service dog pass is a program very similar to the TSA program. So it allows you as a service dog owner and your service dog to quickly get through the check-in process with an airline, and you do not have to reveal any of your private information, ADA information, and you do not have to carry around your paperwork. So that was a phenomenal creation that was brought up by Sheila.
Yes. Awesome. Well, yeah. So great. Again, great things. Like I said, I've been trying to introduce everyone to different people I've met in the over these past few years that are stakeholders in the airline industry. Today, I want to introduce a great person that I've met that's in the pet industry, which I always joke with her, and she would say, where do I fit in the pet industry? And my joke with her was always, do veterinarians fit into the pet industry? I don't know why. I always thought it was separate, but we are actually a part of it. And we have a lot to say and a lot of input within the pet industry as veterinarians. So, but Nancy will definitely be here and introduce American pet professionals and what she does. So, again, folks, I'm just trying to introduce folks that I've met that I think are outstanding. She has been a great supporter of me from day one since meeting me. So I just wanted to share her with my, my followers. But she's here with us and we'll be on in a second.
Yes,
there we go.
I pushed the button.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much for being here. You know how I feel about you. You know, I think you're outstanding. You're one of my main supporters during the pandemic. You and I hung out just about every Friday night on Clubhouse.
We did.
Yes. It was good, but then I think we burned out. But we were there about every single Friday night having our fireside chats.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. So good to see you, Dr. Nelva and Greta. I'm really excited to be on your show today and talk about the pet industry and traveling and all the fun stuff that we do in the industry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again, Nancy, for joining us. So I'm going to introduce everyone with a quick bio about yourself so that everyone understands why we love Nancy so much. Nancy Hassel is the founder and president of American Pet Professionals, an award-winning business networking, educational, and multimedia organization for the pet industry since 2009. American Pet Professional has led over 150 in-person educational networking events, seminars, fundraisers, and has hosted hundreds of online networking events, educational webinars for pet industry professionals. Nancy has planned, promoted, organized, hosted, and co-hosted over 1,000 pet events in the past decade. Ms. Hassel has worked as a public relations expert for over 14 years with pet companies in many aspects of PR, event planning, media relations, and training for pet professionals. Nancy also co-hosted the boutique B2B trade show, New York City Retails and Sales Pet Expo with Dana Humphrey every spring since 2014.
Wow.
She was a speaker at various pet industry conferences for a decade, a columnist for pet trade and consumer magazines, blogger, avid photographer, and was a TV producer and production coordinator for over 10 years. Nancy created a responsible dog ownership program and taught over 2,500 pet parents in a 5-year period. Awarded the 2018 Women of Influence by Pet Age magazine, and her American Pet Professionals was voted Best Networking Organization 3 years in a row by Long Island Press newspaper. Nancy resides on Long Island, New York, and is the proud pet parent of Cody, a rescued American Pit Bull Terrier. Everyone, please help us welcome Nancy Hassel. And that's
Nancy.
Thank you
got
very
to
much.
push the button.
Greta, you totally did not have to read that whole thing.
But you're so fabulous. We had to let them know.
You guys are so sweet. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Now, Dr. Bryant, did you find the clap button?
I did. You didn't hear it? Didn't hear what? You hear it?
Ooh.
There you go. We're high tech, Nancy.
That's hilarious.
The speed of technology. This was a $9.99 thingy off of Amazon. So I'm going to do better in time. I'm going to get a little bit more professional.
I thought it was a StreamYard thing. I got a little bit excited because we just switched over to StreamYard. I was like, oh, they have been clapping.
If StreamYard has it, trust me, we're not aware of it. We're not the most computer savvy team here. We're working on it. You're doing
a good job. You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Well, I am happy you're here and definitely want to know. I want everyone to know more about you and what you do. So please tell us how you started with, as far as, I mean, goodness, what I love is you said you were a producer?
TV producer. Yeah, that's what I really went. That's what I went to college for. I was went to college for communications and minored in television production and went the whole TV route and took all the things, figuring out where in TV I wanted to work and did not want to be in front of the camera. Now we're all in front of the camera all the time. And I worked as a TV producer and production coordinator for a few different companies for over 10 years. And I loved it. Didn't necessarily love the 12 to 16-hour days. And then sadly, 9/11 happened and we all lost our jobs in January of 2002. And I was like, okay, what's next? And I already had kind of one foot in the pet industry. You know, I was reading the trade magazines. I always like to say I was reading Pet Age magazine for like 25 years, doing a ton of research, had my own dogs, like was really intrigued. And Nelva, like you, when I was younger, I wanted to be a vet, right? Which is, I think, so common in our industry. And then I found out all the things you had to do as a veterinarian. And I was like, heck no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. It's a lot to it, but I love the fact that, as you say, in the pet industry, there's a lot of folks that maybe didn't go to veterinary school, but you can still have a good stake as far as animals and working with animals. So I love that. Love it.
Yeah, you know, it was a windy road because as a kid, you know, you probably could relate to this. There was not a lot of women role models in pet industry careers.
Okay.
And veterinarian was really, I think I knew a groomer. The local pet store was owned not by a woman. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it was. And the veterinarians we went to were male. So, you know, but I always thought I wanted to be a veterinarian. And then when I found out, you know, like all the things that you have to do, I'm not necessarily wanting to do surgery and all that stuff. I was like, okay, what else intrigues me? What else am I drawn to? And I was always drawn to TV and media and production. And so that's the route that I went. And now we bring everything full circle. We do a lot of this like we're doing right now in the pet industry. And there's a ton of opportunities. And I'm, you know, so happy for the generation that's coming up now because there's so many opportunities in this industry for them where it's not just like, hey, I want to be a vet or maybe I want to do one thing. And, you know, everybody evolves. But I think it's really such a fun industry to be in. And like you said earlier, we met on Clubhouse. Right. And I remember the first time meeting you and I was like, what? You do all this stuff? Like blown away by your credentials. And you were so nonchalant about it. And I was like, oh my God.
I've been through a lot and had a lot of experiences. Same as you, Nancy. You've been through a lot of different experiences.
Yep.
And just found your niche, and that's kind of what it is, and everything. Yeah. So I'm thankful. Like I said, it was. I'll tell you, Greta, we were honestly. I guess we didn't have anything else to do. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I was working, but outside of that, think about it. We were all closed in for a good period of time. The major way of communicating with folks was Clubhouse.
Yeah, Clubhouse was really great during the time. They shouldn't have changed it as much as they changed it. That's when everybody left, but. You know, I met a lot of wonderful pet professionals on Clubhouse. And like you were saying, we've been through a lot, you know, in the pet industry. I worked in various careers in the pet industry. I dabbled in a few things. I researched a lot of things. I thought I wanted to open doggy daycare. After visiting a lot of doggy daycares and talking to them, I decided I don't want to open a doggy daycare. I love the people that love doing a great job with the doggy daycares. We have members that do outstanding jobs, but it just wasn't for me. Right. You know, I always like the retail, pet retail. I'm still a little jealous of some of my retailer stuff, but I've done a lot of events and stuff at pet retail stores. I did pet sitting for many years. We had the responsible dog ownership class, and we had volunteer veterinarians and wonderful volunteer trainers in each class. I always think about bringing that back, but it was a lot of work. But I love teaching those classes.
Remember, repeat that again, because we kind of went up and down with your recording. But if you could repeat that, doing again, please.
Yeah, no. So, can you guys hear me now?
I hear you now. I don't know what happened. It
might just be the Wi-Fi has been wonky. Yeah. So I used to teach responsible dog ownership class. I did a lot of research for doggy daycares. I worked in a pet retail store. I used to bake my own no corn, no soy, no wheat dog biscuits back in 2002, before that was even like a term. And so I dabbled in a lot, and my path to American Pet Professionals was I really just didn't like competition in the industry, or people not working together as they could, especially locally here where I was. And I was at a networking event, and I was speaking about how to get into the your business, not your pet business, into the news, and happened to be sitting next to a vet who said, "Are there any pet professional organizations?" And I said, "Well, there's a veterinary organization on Long Island," but she was the third person in 2 weeks that asked me that question. And I was looking around at the networking event. I'm like, I could probably host one of these. And 3 months later, in the middle of the recession, I hosted my first networking event and have not looked back.
That is awesome.
So, yeah.
Really,
That
really
is
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Your company, now called American Pet Professionals, is really grown, because I remember, and when we first got to know each other, of course, somebody's trying to call me while I'm on a live with you.
Never fails.
But I remember when it was the Long Island, what was it? Long Island Professional Network.
It was Long Island Pet
Yes.
Professionals. Yep.
Yes, and now it's American Pet Professionals, and it spans the United States. And you're so well known and loved, Nancy, because you give from your heart and your soul, and you genuinely care about your members. And even if people are not members, but you genuinely care about people, their pets, their business, and that's what emotes from you, and everyone receives that. So you truly are a leader in this industry, and I'm so happy that both Dr. Bryant and myself are good friends with you. So thank you so much for all that you do.
And Nancy, you're the one that introduced me to Greta.
I know,
Yes.
I know. But Greta, Dana, who you mentioned earlier, introduced me to you many years ago. So,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And that's what this industry is all about.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I know, Greta, when I met Nelva, and then I was like, wait a minute, I'm like, you and Nelva, and then you guys went to that first event together, and I was so jealous when you texted me the picture. I was like, man, I want to go with you guys. That looks like so much fun. But yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. I think, you know what, it's such a nice industry to be in, right? I worked in TV, I worked in PR, I worked with PR for some of the Hollywood TV people, and that those industries can be a little bit cutthroat and harder to get into. And my thought process with American Pet Professionals has always been, since we started, is why should it be so hard, right? We want to see people succeed. We want this industry to keep growing. We want to work together. And I just think that it trickles down to the pet parent, and hopefully all of the things that we do trickle down to the pets, right? So that they're happier, healthier, all the things. And just every time I meet somebody new, I'm super excited about what they do. Or I'm like, my mind is blown that they've come up with this completely new category, kind of like you, Dr. Nelva, right? You're the only vet that does what you do. So that's why I was like, what? I get very excited about it. It's hard for me to contain that. And you would think after 20 years plus in the industry that I would be like, glazed over, but I still get really excited about what people do in this industry.
Well, tell us about, so in case people don't know about American Pet Professionals, please tell us about what you do and why you do what you do.
Sure. So I'll try to make it quick. So we basically are a membership-based organization where I tell people we're a business, networking, educational, and multimedia organization where we join together B2B members or members that are nonprofit or animal rescues. And we help with education, we help with connections, we help with networking, constantly staying in tune of what's going on in the industry, letting everybody know what's happening, all the things that might benefit their pet business. Because if you are in a pet business, your head is down, you're working, you're dealing with customers. If you have a retail store, if you're dog training, you're focused on the dog. So I'm always in the industry paying attention to everything that's going on, reading everything, seeing everything, and then making sure that our members have those opportunities to know about them. And then, of course, staying on trend in and out of the industry. So like we did our first webinar on AI and how to use it ethically for your business back in January, right? We've been using AI for a long time in general in the world, right? If you're doing Hey Siri for the last 5 years, that's AI. But just to really stay on that trend, like when Clubhouse came out, I jumped in and I immediately wanted to learn everything I could so I could say, how could this help you guys during the pandemic? And we just really try to do all of those things and then have overarching education that will help with your business, whether it's promoting, marketing. We just had a Shopify webinar. We've done copyright webinars, patent webinars, how to bring your pet product to market. You name it, we've done it. And I'm always asking our members, hey, where are you stuck? What are you struggling with? Where do you need help? What do you guys want to learn? And I probably drive my members a little bit crazy with constantly emailing them. That's my communication background. But I just want to make sure that we're always, hitting all those touch points to make sure that their businesses stay successful.
And how can pet professionals join your organization?
Yeah, so we have an open membership enrollment happening right now. We don't have it on our website. So if you guys are interested, I could put the link below the live, but it is limited time. So we only keep our doors open a couple of times a year. And people are always like, why? And it's because if I'm promoting, and if my team and I are promoting all the time to join, we're not focusing as much on our members. So the rest of the time of the year when we don't have an open membership, we actually are just closed so we can really focus on our members.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I am very quickly putting up the information on where people can find you and learn more information. I have a banner for your site.
Thank you.
So I'm getting, it's a little, on my end, it looks like it's stuck, but
it's working.
Hopefully it'll come through soon.
It's going.
Oh, it is? Okay. Sometimes what I see is different from what you see.
Yes.
But yes, so this is definitely an organization that people want to join, at the very least check out. Please go to AmericanPetProfessionals.com where you can learn more about the organization and Miss Nancy. If you do anything with pets or with veterinarians or with whomever, this is an organization that will benefit you from a business aspect. And it's a networking organization where you can meet other businesses and like-minded people and possibly get new business out of that opportunity. So,
awesome.
Okay, so the main thing we're all, oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So is Cody in the room with you?
No, he is not, because he is trained to not bug me. Now, this is him trained himself. He always goes on the couch when I'm doing live videos, and he knows as soon as I say, which I'm sure a lot of dogs do too, like, okay, guys, thanks. He gets up. But I have his business card here. So he's in the other room.
He's got a business card.
He sure does, because he's a micro influencer. Too funny.
Does he have his own account too?
He does. He's on.
Does Cody have?
He's at Cody the Blue Nose on Instagram and TikTok.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
fantastic. Well, I wanted to bring you on as well so that you would have a great opportunity to speak to pet parents, especially, and there's so many that are pet parents of pit bulls, and so that you can talk about your experience with traveling with a pit bull, preparing for your trip, and then are there any specific things that pit bull parents should be aware of as well?
Yeah, well, definitely. So I think it goes for pit bulls or bully breeds or any of the dogs that, may be discriminated against as far as like if you're going to stay at a hotel or anything like that. I will preface this with saying it's gotten a lot better. Most hotels are pretty much rolling out the red carpet to dogs, doesn't matter size, breed, all of those things. I have taken Cody with me to, I think, 10 different states, primarily on the East Coast, but before I actually did any kind of road trip and we stayed anywhere, I made sure that there was no breed-specific legislation anywhere where his type of breed is not allowed in the state or the city or the town that I was going. And all of the places that I went to with him, they did not, which was great. Cody's a happy-go-lucky, friendly dog. He loves people. He loves other dogs. Like he's been to a lot of places. The funniest thing about when I first adopted him is I was invited to the Waldorf Astoria in New York City for a rooftop fancy pet event. And I was like, I only had him, I think, 5 weeks. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, I guess I'm his plus one because they really were just inviting him. And it was a really wonderful event. But walking him through those like gilded halls of marble and like gold, it was white glove guy in the elevator. I was like, oh my God, he was so excited. But once we got to the rooftop, it was fine. So, I just think that regardless if you're traveling with a bully breed or any kind of dog like that, you just want to prepare ahead of time, right? Especially for a road trip. If you have to know if your dog is going to like the car, number one. If you just got a puppy, puppies are prone to getting car sick because they're not used to the movement. You want to do short trips with your dog, going around town, putting your dog in the car. You can either crate your dog in the car or use a safety seatbelt harness for your dog, which is, very much encouraged. So the dog is stationary, and go on short trips to see how your dog does. And, I always say, know your dog, know your breed, know your mixed breed, what they're going to be scared about potentially in that road trip. So those would be like those first tips, right? Always have water with you, a dog bowl. The other thing is as you're prepping your trip, even if it's just in the next state, you should outline where the 24-hour veterinarian is, their hospital, because God forbid something happens and you're in the car and you're not sure where to go or what to do and you don't have Wi-Fi service. So program that into your contacts so you can definitely make sure that you know where that local 24-hour vet is. Those are some of the like initial planning things that I would say.
Absolutely. So I know that up until today, all of our guests have always talked about traveling by plane. Is there a reason why that you choose the car over the plane?
I think mainly because with Cody, he's a bigger dog. So he wouldn't be in cabin with me, and he would be super noisy if he was a legit service dog, which he is not. He's not an ESA dog or anything like that. So I would have to put him in the the cabin, not the cabin, the bottom of the plane. What do you call that, Nelva? The proper terminology.
Cargo.
Cargo.
Apologize for stepping away for a quick second. I had to take a phone call. He kept calling me, so I figured I had to get it. So I apologize, guys. But he would have to go cargo. He's pit bull, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most airlines, even though they're not they're sort of snub nosed, but that's not the reason why they banned the pit bulls. It's because of their inherent strength. That they're banned.
Yeah, because they can get out of the crate.
Yeah, they can tear out of those crates, and as those crates are not really well made, and they can rip right through those things and everything. So that's the fear behind that.
Yeah, and of course it depends on the dog's personality. Cody wouldn't try to rip out of anything.
The sad thing about it is, Cody probably would be awesome, but the thing about it is, they can't take a chance on your nice pit bull and then someone else is not being nice and they just ban everybody because again that's the bad thing about it and everything.
I would if somebody wants to sponsor us and take us in one of those private airlines.
I do have contacts with private jets if you're ever interested.
I totally would do that. I would take them on a plane that way. So those are the real reasons. Plus, I actually just like to do road trips with him. I think it's a lot of fun. I like to be on my own schedule. And, over the years, I travel so much for work on a plane that if I'm going to take the dog somewhere, it's usually in the car. I just found out that I'm going to be at an event in LA in December. And I'm like, can I road trip across with Cody? I'm trying to figure that out. It would be a long trip, but...
That's a really, really long one. My goodness.
It's a week long.
Yeah, definitely. But we would take our time. So like we did a trip up to Maine and we visited a bunch of states, but we didn't stay in the car. We weren't driving more than 2.5 hours each stop. So, and I planned it that way.
Some of your thoughts though. Okay. Just in travel and everything. And if I missed something, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I really have to get that. But, when you travel, do you stay in hotels or what do you do in between? What you do that?
Yeah. So the trip I've stayed in a bunch of hotels with him. One time It was a pet industry conference. It was in New Jersey, and the hotel was pet friendly, quote unquote. And I was at the event. I had set up. I had Cody with me, and then we went to a dinner, and then I went to the hotel, and it was about 20 minutes from where the place was. Long story short, when I was looking at it, I realized they only allowed 30-pound dogs. And so I was kind of mildly freaking out because I'm like, I am not driving anywhere else to go get a hotel. But it was one of those hotels where you check in and, there were cameras everywhere. I'm like, if they want to come knock on my room, it was, that's fine. Right. So we've stayed at hotels. We've stayed at B&Bs. We've stayed at, in Maine, we stayed at 2 different B&Bs that were pet friendly. And I have to tell you, driving, I didn't have expectations of people not liking him or having an issue. I really didn't. But the overwhelming amount of people that were like, I love your dog. I used to have that dog, or we have one at home. The whole entire trip was just really wonderful. And of course, he's a ham, so he was eating it up. He was so happy, wiggling and just arooing at everybody. But yeah, we've stayed at those kind of things. Sometimes if it's like even a local road trip and I stay at my friend's house, maybe they're not there. He's been to many different houses and stuff like that. So he's very good. The very first time that I took him to a hotel was some fancy hotel in New York City. They had just become pet friendly. And so they invited us and they had breakfast the next day. So I'm like, well, I can't take him down to get the breakfast. So I left him in the room. It was the only time I left him in the room. They had a special doggy inside, do not disturb tag on their thing. They even had if the dog got lost tag at the check-in, which I thought was pretty cute. And when I came back, he was curled up in a ball in the middle of the bed, sleeping. Like he didn't care. Yeah. But generally, I don't leave him in the hotel room by himself. That was for like a 10-minute, let me run downstairs and get breakfast type of thing.
I'm going to tell you my story of my mom and I driving from, where did we come from? I was leaving the Army. I'm trying to think, wait, where were we? I can't remember where we were, but either way, my mom and I always say we were like Batman and Robin. We were doing our road trip together. I had my little dog, Diamond with me. Little Diamond, little Jack Russell Terrier mix, cute little thingy. And I was starting to see spots before my eyes with driving. It was late. So I was like, Mom, we got to stop. So first hotel we went to go check in. And I said, I have a dog. Now, again, this is many years ago. I said, I have a dog. Is it okay? And they said, oh, no dogs allowed. So I was like, okay. I said, lesson learned on that one. Went to the next hotel. I didn't say a thing. I was like, I'm not saying anything. Because but I bring my dog in. And what does she do? Rip, 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 rip.
Oh,
she's just barking. And I was like, I swear to God, I'm going to kill this dog if she does not stop barking. I was like, Mom, she's going to get us kicked out the hotel. It's like, I'm so tired. But finally, I believe I got her on the bed with me. She relaxed. We all fell asleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so glad the legislation and policies have changed in reference to that. Because, when you're traveling, and a lot of folks are traveling as you're doing with your pet. So you need to rest your eyes. Staying in your car probably is not the safest place to stay, even if you have your dog. So I'm glad they're making it more pet friendly, to be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten way, way better. I mean, even from 5 years ago, it's so much better now. There's so many places that are like, yeah, we're pet friendly. You can come in. We have designated pet rooms. And people that are watching that might be like, well, I don't want to stay at a hotel where there's going to be a lot of dogs. It's not like that. I mean, I've stayed at a lot of hotels with them. It depends if it's a dog event. Like I've stayed at a hotel when there was a dog event and there was a lot of dogs barking, but I've stayed at many places with him hotel wise. And there's like one other dog, 2 other dogs. It's not like every room has dogs, and they usually make each room, designated for dogs, kind of like smoking and non-smoking. I wish they would ban smoking altogether from hotels, but that's another story for another day.
Right. But you know what? It goes back, though, the pet-friendly idea for everything really goes back to, remember what you said, your training you gave on responsible pet ownership.
Yes.
That will make it grow. That will make it where now it's okay to bring your pet. But see, the problem is you get people that are irresponsible with their pets, and they make it for everybody else. But I go back to your training you had back then. You know how I really think that's a great thing. I think you should do it again and do it frequently, or have a module or a video or something, because that's valuable information.
Yeah, we did it twice a month. It was a lot of fun. I love doing it. And I end up stop talking to people when they have a puppy and just like, hey, and then I end up spewing advice that they don't need, or that they didn't ask for. The other thing I would say, Greta, to your other question about traveling with your dog in the car, besides like the safety issues of having the dog, harnessed in, I also traveled with one of those devices that would detect the temperature. Because if you're solo traveling with your dog and you need to stop at a rest stop, especially this time of year, there's nowhere that they're shaded. And I really wish there was pet concierge and people with baby concierge. Not that anybody should leave their baby in the car, but just like a covered area where you could get out of that direct sun, because it's hard to find a rest stop that has a tree. Like I'll park under the tree. And I would leave my car locked and running with the AC going, kind of like how I think, what is it, Tesla that has that now? Like my dog's in the car, this is the temperature. So I traveled with a device that would alert me while I was inside if it got more than like 72 degrees. And I mean, I was only inside, but sometimes you're trying to get coffee at one of those coffee shops and the line is, 20 minutes long. And I'm like freaking out because I want to get back to my car. For me, I'm more worried that somebody's going to take the dog out of the car, right? That's my fear. But he does lay down and nobody knows he's in there. So that's one good thing.
Now, can you recommend the device that you use? Because I think people would be interested, especially this time of year.
Yeah, it was by Waggle, I believe, is the owner of the company now. WAGGLE. It's, I think, the RV Pet Safety Monitor might be the name of it. I forget. But if you look at Waggle, so the device goes in the car, you set the temperature, and you set up the app. And you set up the notifications. And it's good if you're RVing, it's good if you're on the boat, like there's a lot of different uses for that. There's a couple of them out there, so you could look into them. But I think that's something that's really important. And that made my last road trip, that was back in 2019, so much more peace of mind that I could stop and run into the bathroom and get a coffee and maybe some lunch if I didn't have lunch with me. So that's something that I always made sure that, moving forward to have. The other thing is I pack Cody's bag, right? So he has a first aid kit, any medications that he might need, right? Pepsid, some dogs might need that. I also make sure that I have his latest veterinary work. So I have that paper in a Ziploc bag, any medical records like that is in his bag. So if anybody ever asks me checking in, like, oh, do you have, it's not necessarily a health certificate like you would get for airline travel, but just like his latest shots, everything that's on there. And so I always have that with me in case somebody asks.
Extremely important. God forbid something happens. And you don't, say, I hate to say it, God forbid there's a dog bite or something like that. And people
you don't have that with you. Yeah.
Is he vaccinated against rabies? Yes. All the documentation is right here.
Yep.
That's perfect.
Now, I know with traveling in the car, you have a choice of bringing a carrier or even a crate for your pet, or even a harness to attach the dog to stay safe in the car.
Yeah.
Do you, even though if you use a harness to attach the dog in the car, do you also bring a carrier or crate for wherever you may get out to?
Okay, so yeah, I definitely did in the beginning. The first couple of years, I think I had him 6 weeks, and I went to like doggy camp with him, which is Canine Camp Getaway, one of our members. She does a really great job. And I went for part of it, and I brought this big honking ridiculous crate that I have and had to lug it up the stairs and set it up because I only had him 6 weeks and I didn't know how he was going to be in a hotel room. Like if I had to, go, whatever. The whole thing was pet friendly, so you could bring your dog anywhere. But he was used to being crated because, he lived in a shelter for 6 months. I adopted him. And then, as he was getting used to my routine, he would be crated. And now he's not in a crate. I don't bring a crate with me anymore. Just because he's so good when I travel. And again, I don't leave him places. Like I don't leave him in a hotel room. If I was going to have to leave him, like say you're like traveling and you're like, hey, we want to go out to dinner inside a restaurant and we have our dog with us. Ask the hotel or the B&B that you're staying with, do they have doggy daycare or a pet sitter that they use? Because a lot of the places do. make sure that they're bonded and insured, and it's not somebody that just started pet sitting last week, that they have a history of pet sitting and a lot of great reviews. I personally wouldn't do that. I'd find an outdoor restaurant and bring them with me. But, there's nothing wrong with doing that and finding a really good pet professional like that to care for your dog. Or if your dog is used to going to doggy daycare and the hotel kind of has that, or has a recommendation for somebody, on their street or not far from there. So those could be some suggestions if you are traveling with your dog and you want to go out and enjoy your own vacation. I personally, Cody just goes everywhere with me.
That's good.
So then, so that we can have kind of like a uniform tip list for the viewers. So let's start at the beginning. So when you and Cody's sitting there at the suitcase and you're throwing stuff in there. So what do you pack for Cody to go on the road trip?
Yeah, sure. So he's got his own little backpack, right? And obviously I pack his food. I always pack a few days extra because if you're driving, you just never know, right? So you're not scrambling going, oh no, I don't have any food. If you're doing raw food, you want to make sure you have a cooler with ice and all of those things that you can replenish that ice along the way. If you're doing raw food feeding, so you want to make sure that you have that. Any treats, any supplements, any medication. You could always ask your veterinarian, say, hey, we're going on a road trip. Could we get another prescription just to have it just in case? First aid kit, an extra leash or 3, right? An extra collar. I always bring Cody's long line. He has a 25-foot biothane line. So like when we go to the beach, he can go in the water and he stays tethered to me. That's mainly so I can reel him in when I see the birds working because, the bay beaches by us, there are sharks and stuff. So so I always have all of those things. You could have booties if your dog has booties in case you're somewhere if the pavement is hot or if you're traveling where it's cold. Just anything that you can think of in your arsenal that you have at home. And that could be a local day trip, right? If you're going local to somewhere, like I'll be going to a dock diving event this weekend. I have tons of water in the car for him that I give him, I refill it and put fresh water. He has a dog bowl that he goes and can drink from in the car. He likes to do that while he's moving. That might not be for every dog. And any kind of bug spray, if you have natural, like I use natural bug spray for flea and tick if we're hiking. So that's always in the car. I always buy a new one each year or in his bag. So you just have to think of all the things that you would need just for being at home, just for those local trips. And then, maybe double that a little bit. It's important also to have a picture of him in that bag, in a Ziploc bag, because you might lose cell service. Maybe your phone isn't charged. Again, dog forbid something happens and the dog gets loose and gets out, away from you and you're searching for the dog. So you want to make sure that you have all that. Those are, nightmare scenarios that you hear that happen, but it's not that common. And then
you have a tracker?
I don't. The iPhone, the iTag, I don't. Cody is like under my feet 97% of the time. So he's not going anywhere. He's no interest in like running and all of those things. So, and then just be very responsible as you're driving with your dog. Don't let the dog jump around all over the place in the car while you're trying to drive, because that's going to make it a lot harder for you to have a safe trip. Make sure you stop enough, right, for your dog to go out and go to the bathroom. I had one time locally that Cody was like crying in the car, but he cries in the car all the time. And the dog had to pee, and I got him out literally just in time to go to the bathroom. I'm like, what is your problem? So, just pay attention to that. And, don't just throw your dog in a car for an 8-hour road trip and stop once. Your dog might need to stop a few times. You might not be comfortable, Make sure the dog is got good ventilation if you're putting him in a crate, all the things.
Do you recommend stopping maybe once every 2 hours or every 4 hours?
Yeah, I think every 2.5 hours, every 3 hours is good. Keep the dog on the same schedule that you have it at home, and that'll be the easiest way you could do it. If you feed your dog at 7 a.m., feed the dog at 7 a.m., you let the dog out at that time. If you feed the dog again, like Cody has an early bird special, he likes to eat his second meal at 1:30. So, those kind of things, just keep them on that routine as you're doing the road trip, and the dog will be really good.
Yeah. Question for you. Do you ever have to go through, you know how dogs go through a stage where they have motion sickness or anything like that? You ever go through that with Cody?
Not with Cody. So I think puppies go through that a lot. My last dog, Max, who was behind me there, he liked the car like part of his life. When I first adopted him, he definitely had the motion sickness, and I took him to a lot of places, but he really didn't like being in the car. It was stressful for him, even short trips like 45 minutes, and he would lay down on the bottom of the car. Like he just didn't like it. And so, we didn't go on a lot of like really far trips. He loved going to the park and all those type of things. But yeah, the motion sickness can be tough. I know some people who have dogs that have that. I just always recommend go on shorter little trips around the neighborhood to get your dog used to the car.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I know that for looking up hotels, is it bringfido.com? That's the best resource for looking up dog-friendly hotels.
Yeah, you could try Bring Fido. You could just go directly to the hotel. The other thing is, some hotels have the pet fee, right? If you're traveling there with your dog, there might be an additional pet fee. So you want to make sure what that is. Sometimes it's a cleaning fee. Just ask those questions. Make sure you're asking that there's no breed or weight limit when you're staying.
Right.
I did not encounter that with the B&Bs that I stayed at. They were incredibly, incredibly nice. There was no pet fee. There was no any of that. They were like, yeah, we're pet friendly. You'll be greeted by our dog. And the main thing I think you really should know is make sure that your dog is dog friendly. And if he's not, understand that, it's okay if you're going into a hotel room, but you want to make sure that you know your dog's behavior and not be in denial about that. Like, oh, he's just snarling a little. No, he's trying to get over and attack my dog. Like,
no, he's trying to
yeah, you really need to pay attention to that, because I know people in the past, and sometimes they'll just, they have to travel, or maybe they're going for a family function and they're not leaving their dog behind, which is fine. But just know your dog's behaviors and really be in tune with that. And if you don't know enough about dog body language behavior, take a course on it, look it up, watch some YouTube videos, because a lot of times what you think the dog is telling you is not what's happening. I'm very in tune with Cody. Like, I know when we're at an event, like he's had enough. I'm like, all I say to him is, you want to go home? And he's like, rah! He screams at me. I'm like, all right, let's go.
He's like, I'm ready to go, Mom.
Because he's usually good for like a good 4 hours at an event. Like, dock diving, he'll be super excited. And then like, he's done. He's like, all right, let's go. But the funny thing is, when we walk to the car, he's like looking back. I'm like, you told me you wanted to leave. We're leaving. But, you just really want to make sure that your dog is, your dog's behavior around people, around other dogs, in different environments. So I think if you're going to do road trips, if you're going to go to different places, test that out before you throw your dog in a car and go on a 2-week road trip. Bring your dog to local festivals by you, local doggy out cafes that have, you can bring your dog to outside and, see how they are and really pay attention to that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Another question about Cody, just curious, is he sensitive to sounds like fireworks and stuff like that?
So he was not sensitive to any kind of sounds. The quote unquote bomb-proof dog, like nothing phases this dog. Still
That's
to
great.
this day, like Max behind us, terrified of thunder, lightning, all the things. And he had super sensitive hearing. Max lost his hearing on one ear when he was about 10 or 10 and a half. And I thought he would have been a much happier dog, less stressed with noises, if he actually did not hear his whole life, because he's so chilled out when he was older, when he couldn't hear all those noises. Cody is pretty much bomb-proof. I will say, in the pandemic during 2020, I'm in New York and fireworks are illegal. And I think a lot of those stimulus checks were spent on fireworks, because for like 8 weeks straight, it was like the worst I like fireworks shows. Like, I like going to, it was ridiculous around here. And so that got Cody into being like, what's happening? And somebody was lighting off fireworks the other night for Memorial Day weekend, and he was shaking and scared. So I do give him CBD treats. There's a couple of brands that have worked well for him, which of course I'm blanking on the name right now. But also, I don't also make a big deal about it, because the more you're like, oh my God, are you okay? Oh, the dog starts panicking even more. So I just tell him once, like, you're okay, and that's it.
Yeah.
You brought up a very good question. So when you're taking I shouldn't say the dog, when you're taking Cody on a trip, does he need something to help relax him, like the CBD treat? And the second part is, if Cody doesn't, is there something you recommend for relaxing a dog during a car trip?
Yeah, that's good.
So for Cody, I don't give him anything because he totally falls asleep in the car. Like he's the best little road travel companion because he's like passed out. Like he's out cold sleeping until we slow down and get into like a town or city. Then he's like, all right, where are we? What are we doing? What's
Right.
going on? Then he's
Look,
excited.
he's saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Totally. But you know, I do bring those treats with me just in case there's that scenario of, you know, we might be somewhere where there's a fireworks show going off or just loudness, and he's not that sensitive. Like I said, he's pretty calm about it. I don't make a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
He'll calm down after a little while. It is frustrating to see him more nervous around hearing fireworks now. But like a loud band, even though I don't want to bring him close to a loud band, like it's say there's a festival, he'll like aroo back to the singer. He's super excited about that. But maybe Nelva, you could speak on some of the things that people could bring, because that
I can tell you, I mean, the CBD I think is good. I think we should just go away from anything that's going to cause sedation. For motion sickness, I would definitely recommend there's Serenia. That's a product. It's almost similar to what Dramamine does to us, where it's just kind of helps with motion sickness and everything. So Serenia is very good. And the CBD, different chews, I would definitely recommend that. I wouldn't go as far as, again, sedation with trazodones, gabapentins, and all that stuff. I wouldn't do that because you still want them to be slightly alert during travel. I mean, God,
exactly
what happens, you never know. You want them to be alert as well. So that would be my recommendation on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, you say Cody's calm and stays in here. What I hate though, and what worries me when I see sometimes, or the stories I hear, I'll just put it so way, the stories you hear of when someone is traveling by car with their pet, and then say there's an accident and they can't find a dog because the dog is run off and everything. It's so scary. So you do have to be prepared with him. You're saying you've got the collars, you got to make sure all that's on him.
Yep.
I'm wondering, in certain situations, say if it's definitely a long trip, tethering is probably a good idea because it's almost like us. Imagine without a seatbelt, we go flying through a window too. So tether them down somehow to the seatbelt. So if something happens, they're remaining still. Because again, you hear all these sad stories when that happens. It's like, goodness, a pet.
It's so true. Yeah, definitely. You want to look for a crash tested dog seatbelt safety harness.
Yeah.
Ones that are like that. And I have one for Cody and he's used to it. And he goes in that no problem. The other thing is, it's funny because when I'm driving with the dog, it's way different than when I'm driving without the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I'm very like, listen, I'm on Long Island. If anybody
you the typical New York driver just going without.
Well, you have to be. I'm a kind, courteous driver, but you still have to go. Go with the flow, with the speed, because you have to be a defensive driver. So when Cody is with me, or if I have my kayak on the roof of my car and I'm driving to go kayak somewhere, I am always way more cautious as far as going slower, staying in the right-hand lane, like all those things. And that's not always the choice if you're driving somewhere and you're on a one-lane highway or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I would just say to people out on the road, calm down, first of all, slow down. You don't need a tailgate. Do you want to do that to your own mom, your sister, your aunt? Like here on Long Island, it's ridiculous. So I just move over, let them go get the ticket, that kind of thing. But I'm always, way more cautious when I have the dog. Not to say I'm not cautious when it's myself. Of course I am. But you just have that, it's like when you're driving with your kids, you might just be more cautious because you don't want to speed. You don't want to this, you don't want to that. So
you find yourself driving and have your arm out trying to stop. Look, as if you can stop them from moving forward with your arm and crazy.
Yeah,
stuff.
And don't drive with your little 2-pound puppy on your lap sticking its head out the window. Right. Or don't drive with your dog in the back of a pickup truck. But that's again another whole story. It makes me crazy. But you just have to be, really cognizant of the fact that you don't know what people have in their cars as they're driving, if they have pets, if they have kids in the car, you just really want to be careful. I think it's important to be really cognizant of that when you're on the road as somebody going on a road trip with your dog. Last tip that I will give you guys is that if you are a solo single female and you're driving, or even if you are not, I would always tell people where you're driving to your friends and family and let them know where you are. You can ping them your address if you're doing a map type of thing, just for that safety, so they know where you are on the road.
That's, you just never know. I think of the times with myself where I've driven places, been places, and didn't tell anybody, and I'm just going. And I thank God, looking back now, that I got there safely and it was no problem. So I definitely agree. Just share where you are. Let people know you're coming. Because you just never know anymore what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen when you leave the house every day.
Yeah. It's just a simple safety thing. Just the thought process of that. Sometimes when I'm on a road trip, I'll just be on, have my earbuds in and chit chatting with a friend when I'm driving, so they know where I am and keep going. So it's just something to think about.
No, perfect. Well, goodness, we are like out of time, and time always flies and goes so fast. I'm really happy with the information you shared, Nancy, and just sharing also with everyone what American Pet Professionals do, what it's all about, what you do with it, and really the great things you've done with it as far as expanding the pet industry. So I'm glad to have you here, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun. We could probably go on for like 3 more hours talking about traveling with your pet.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Nancy, for joining us. We definitely will have you back another time so that you can share more of your wisdom, and also so that you can let people know what's going on with American Pet Professionals. So I wanted to just point out for everyone, please, while Nancy is having an open enrollment, please go to her website, which is AmericanPetProfessionals.com, to find out more information. And also connect and follow Nancy and American Pet Professional. She's on social media, which is Twitter and Instagram, as American Pet Pros. And then on LinkedIn, you can find her under her name, which is Nancy Hassel. Dr. Bryant, is there any last words you'd like to share with everyone?
Had a great day. Have everyone have a great day. Thank you so much for Nancy for being here, and Greta. We always have fun. So
we do. Hope to see you ladies in person soon.
Yes, hope so soon too. We have to find a pet
Absolutely.
Expo soon. Definitely.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for having me, and hope to see you guys soon.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye.
Let's see. I pushed in broadcast.